business leaders and those folks they're dialoguing, across business lines and those kinds of things, because this is unprecedented. There is no playbook.
Hi, I'm Kevin Coleman, and today on Bellingham Now, we are talking to Marty Sauvage, the CEO of Silver Reef Casino Resort out in Ferndale. And we're going to be talking about things that are happening as phase 2 goes into full effect, what that looks like, how the casino is adapting, and what they're going to be doing further on into the future. So today, Marty, welcome. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about the organization, the casino, and what's happening there today.
Well, the Silver Reef Casino Resort, which opened in 2002, is a very large hospitality facility as it stands today. When it's normally operating, we've got about 1,100 slot machines, 17 table games, 206 available hotel rooms, a large event space, and several dining and beverage options. In kind of today's environment, as you mentioned, we are in phase 2. We are in a very modified experience to practice social distancing and mitigation efforts to avoid any kind of issues with COVID-19. So we've got things like temperature checks at the door. We've got about half our machines are turned off so people can maintain social distancing. We're asking guests to wear masks. All the team members, of course, go through the same thing where they're checked for their temperature every day when they come in. They're also required to wear a mask. Different parts of the property aren't open quite yet. We're not really using the event space yet. The bar is fairly busy, although you can't sit around it. The food and beverage piece is starting out very slowly. We're following the governor's guidelines on that. So if you were to go into the Red River Cafe, which is our primary sit-down venue at this point, about half the tables are unavailable. We're only seating parties as big as 5 people. Disposable menus, a lot of little things that make up the current environment. And then starting on the 1st of the month, we just opened half the hotel. So we put about 100 rooms in play just to see how it goes. That is a piece of our business that, we like to offer to folks. And so far it's been kind of a slow build there. Folks are not traveling from afar. We do have some of our local guests that want to come out and do a little staycation. So we're more than happy to have them come out and do those kinds of things as well. And it'll be 3 weeks tomorrow. And, we've seen kind of just a slow build in the number of folks that are coming out. And I think people are certainly getting a little more comfortable. I think, with the rest, we opened in advance of kind of the phase 2 announcement with the state. I think more and more people are getting comfortable with the idea of going out and being in places like the Silver Reef at this point, yes.
And if I'm not mistaken, don't you have an app that you can actually see how many people are in the casino at one time?
We do, yes. We do have a capacity limit that was agreed upon. I had to submit a pretty in-depth operating plan to the tribal health clinic, which they approved. And it includes a cap of the number of people we can have in the building. We can monitor on a real-time basis how many folks are in the building. And if we get too close, as you can see right here, I've got about 191 guests, although that looks like it might be backwards. But so we are actively monitoring the number of folks that are coming into the building. And we can also, if need be, move to what we call a mobile check-in environment. So rather than having a bunch of people stand out on the sidewalk or anything like that, they can come in and they text us a password and we give them some directions. And then we can kind of put them on a waiting list, and then we can actually invite them up to come to the door so that we don't have that was a concern, was we'd have a lot of people standing out front. We did initially. Things have settled down a little bit. I think people are kind of picking their spots in terms of when they decide to come out with that in mind. So it's been fairly smooth, but it is a good piece of technology to have if we find that we've got a sudden build of capacity. Yeah.
Right. And what is your maximum capacity right now with phase 2?
Right now we'll allow up to 600 guests onto the property. Everyone does need to be 21 at this time. We have in the past allowed minors to use the restaurant facilities, but because we are scanning everyone's IDs, should, God forbid, we have to get into kind of any contact tracing, we're checking IDs on everybody so that we have some data should we need to assist the public health team.
That's wonderful. And I know that with the borders being closed, that's probably affected you guys tremendously as well. Not just because of COVID, but because of the borders being shut down and Canadians not being able to come down to spend time there.
Absolutely. We Whatcom County is connected quite closely with border traffic, and yeah, that's a substantial amount of our volume. Sometimes up to 50% of our headcount is Canadians, and in particular when it comes to the hotel utilization, they're a big part of that as well. We're obviously very interested in what's going to happen on or about the 21st. That was kind of the next date that both I believe, U.S. and Canadian governments would address border traffic, and we'll see how that plays out. It's on a comparative basis between Washington and British Columbia. British Columbia has quite a few less cases on a kind of a total population basis. So my sense of it is it'll hinge very much on how comfortable the Canadian government is at this point in terms of opening the border. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you've been in this industry for quite a while. I'm sure you've seen a lot of changes, a lot of things over the years. What have you learned about your business or your community during this time that you probably wouldn't have noticed before, good or bad?
If anything, within the business itself, this is obviously, historically casinos just don't close. So we're very much relying on peer groups and colleagues to have dialogue about best practices or ideas and those kinds of things. In fact, I had meetings almost every week with most of my fellow operators here in Washington State to just discuss where we thought we were on particular items, so that if we had we could share information and those kinds of things. I think one of the things I've seen almost across the business community, almost everywhere, is business leaders and those folks they're dialoguing, across business lines and those kinds of things, because this is unprecedented. There is no playbook, and so I think we're all relying on each other to generate a level of comfort, as especially as businesses come back online.
If people wanted to find out up-to-date information on this Silver Reef Casino Resort, they can just go to the website. Is that correct?
Yes, we try and keep that fairly up-to-date in terms of what our offerings are. We did just modify our hours a little bit. We're staying open a little later on the weekends now, from when we started a couple of weeks ago, and that was really based on demand. So yes, any of those kind of updates are on our website, Facebook page as well.
If you could leave people with one thought or message from this interview today, what would that be, Marty?
I think from my point of view, communicating with your team members. I met with my senior staff almost daily for 8 weeks. And it obviously took part in phases in terms of what our topics were, but having lots of discussions about just the mundane, because we are really finding that's where we're being affected a lot. When I talk about things like we're doing in the restaurant, it never was you didn't worry about, how you delivered cutlery to a table, or how the menu was presented, or how you would handle lines in those particular situations. So engaging those folks and having lots of conversations, I think one of the things I found was that the individual imaginations that people brought to the table were very helpful, and got food and beverage thinking about items in other departments and vice versa. And, good solutions are good solutions. So if somebody else brings one kind of to the table or the conversation, look into them and see if there's something that's viable and effective.
Great advice. That is awesome advice. Marty, I thank you so much for everything you're doing. Thank you for being here today and being on the show. I really appreciate having some insight of what's happening and how you guys are taking care of not only the community, but also your employees and the resort. So thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
Hey, we hope you enjoyed watching this episode of Bellingham Now. To see all of our episodes, go to BellinghamTonightShow.com. New content is added daily, so make sure you subscribe for updates. Thanks for watching.